In the heart of Southeast Asia, a storm is brewing. For decades, the Philippines stood at a dangerous crossroads torn between sovereignty and survival. But now, a choice has been made. The Philippines has accepted America's offer. What lies behind that handshake? A promise of protection? Or the spark of a regional war? As new bases rise and old alliances are reignited, the balance of power in the Pacific begins to shift rapidly. The world watches, rivals prepare. And the next chapter in the US-China power struggle begins right here. Before we uncover what this game-changing alliance means for the region and the world, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, let's break it down. The offer on the table: fortifying the front lines. The relationship between the Philippines and the United States has deep historical roots, forged in the crucible of war and solidified through decades of mutual security interests. The Mutual Defense Treaty, signed in 1951, forms the bedrock of this alliance, committing both nations to come to each other's aid in the event of an attack. However, the evolving geopolitical landscape, particularly the assertive actions of China in the South China Sea, has necessitated a strengthening and modernization of this security partnership. The United States offer, now accepted by the Philippines, likely encompasses several key components designed to enhance the Philippines' defensive capabilities and deter potential aggression. Firstly, it is highly probable that the offer includes a substantial increase in military aid and financing for the Philippines. This could involve the provision of advanced military hardware such as naval vessels, aircraft, radar systems, and missile defense capabilities. The Philippines has been actively seeking to modernize its aging military fleet, and this enhanced assistance from the U.S. would significantly accelerate those efforts, providing the archipelago nation with the tools necessary to better patrol and protect its maritime territories. Secondly, the offer likely entails an expansion of joint military exercises and training programs. Regular military drills between U.S. and Philippine forces have been a feature of their security cooperation for decades. However, the new agreement may involve more complex and larger-scale exercises, focusing on maritime security, amphibious operations, and integrated air defense. These exercises serve not only to enhance the interoperability of their armed forces, but also to send a clear signal of their commitment to mutual defense in the face of potential threats. Thirdly, enhanced intelligence sharing is likely a crucial element of the offer. The U.S. possesses significant intelligence-gathering capabilities in the region, and sharing timely and accurate information with the Philippines about potential threats and developments in the South China Sea would be invaluable for Manila's strategic decision-making and maritime domain awareness. This could include satellite imagery, signals, intelligence, and analysis of maritime activity in contested areas. Furthermore, the offer may include provisions for the prepositioning of U.S. military equipment and supplies in the Philippines. This would allow for a faster and more efficient response in the event of a crisis or contingency in the region. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA, signed in 2014, already allows the U.S. military access to certain Philippine military bases, and this new offer could potentially expand the scope and scale of U.S. military presence and logistical support in the country. Finally, the offer might extend beyond purely military aspects to include cooperation in areas such as cybersecurity, maritime law enforcement, and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. These non-military forms of cooperation are increasingly recognized as vital components of comprehensive security partnerships, helping to build resilience and address a wider range of threats and challenges. The acceptance of this offer by the Philippines underscores Manila's growing concern over the security situation in the South China Sea. Faced with increasingly assertive actions by China, including the construction of artificial islands, the deployment of military assets, and the harassment of Filipino fishermen and vessels, the Philippines is clearly seeking to strengthen its alliance with the United States as a crucial deterrent and a guarantor of its territorial integrity and sovereignty. A history of alliance. Bonds forged in fire. The alliance between the Philippines and the United States is not a recent development. It is a relationship steeped in history, marked by both periods of close cooperation and moments of strain. Understanding this historical context is crucial to appreciating the significance of the Philippines' decision to accept the latest U.S. offer. The roots of this alliance can be traced back to the Spanish-American War of 1898, which saw the United States take control of the Philippines from Spain. This marked the beginning of a complex and often fraught colonial relationship that lasted for nearly half a century. While the period of American rule was marked by significant infrastructure development and the establishment of democratic institutions, it was also characterized by anti-colonial resistance and a yearning for independence among the Filipino people. Despite the complexities of the colonial era, a strong bond developed between the two nations, particularly during World War II. The Philippines was invaded and occupied by Japan, and Filipino and American forces fought side by side in a brutal and protracted struggle for liberation. The shared sacrifices and the eventual victory forged a deep sense of camaraderie and mutual respect. Following the Philippines' independence in 1946, the security relationship between the two countries continued to evolve. The signing of the Mutual Defense Treaty in 1951 formalized their alliance, committing them to collective defense in the face of external aggression. During the Cold War, the Philippines served as a key strategic ally for the United States in Southeast Asia, hosting major U.S. military bases that played a crucial role in projecting American power in the region. However, the presence of these U.S. military bases also became a source of nationalist sentiment and political debate within the Philippines. In 1991, the Philippine Senate voted to end the lease agreements for these bases, marking a significant shift in the security relationship. For a period, the alliance appeared to be in a state of flux, with both countries exploring new avenues for cooperation. The rise of China and the increasing tensions in the South China Sea in recent decades have led to a renewed strengthening of the U.S.-Philippine alliance. Recognizing the growing challenges to its maritime security and territorial claims, the Philippines has actively sought to revitalize its security partnership with the United States. This has included the signing of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA, in 2014, which allows for a greater U.S. military presence in the Philippines on a rotational basis. Throughout the history of their relationship, the United States has been a significant provider of military and economic assistance to the Philippines. This support has played a crucial role in helping the Philippines address internal security challenges, modernize its armed forces, and promote economic development. The acceptance of the latest U.S. offer can be seen as the latest chapter in this long and evolving alliance. It reflects a shared understanding of the growing security challenges in the region and a renewed commitment to mutual defense and cooperation. While the relationship has had its complexities and challenges, the underlying strategic interests and the deep historical ties continue to bind the two nations together. Navigating troubled waters, the imperative of security. The Philippines' decision to accept the United States' offer comes at a critical juncture, as tensions in the South China Sea continue to escalate. Understanding the specific factors that have driven Manila to deepen its security ties with Washington requires an examination of the current geopolitical landscape and the specific threats facing the Philippines. The most significant driver behind this decision is undoubtedly the increasingly assertive behavior of China in the South China Sea. Beijing claims sovereignty over almost the entire waterway, a claim that is contested by several Southeast Asian nations, including the Philippines. China has been actively asserting its claims through various actions, including the construction of artificial islands equipped with military facilities, the deployment of Coast Guard and maritime militia vessels, and the harassment of fishing boats and other vessels from neighboring countries. The Philippines has been particularly vocal in its opposition to China's actions, especially after winning a landmark ruling at the Permanent Court of Arbitration in 2016, which invalidated China's expansive claims. However, China has refused to recognize the ruling and has continued its activities in the disputed waters. In recent years, there have been numerous incidents involving Chinese Coast Guard vessels harassing and even using water cannons against Philippine vessels, including those resupplying Filipino troops stationed at the Ayungin Shoal, Second Thomas Shoal, a feature within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. These incidents have generated significant public outrage in the Philippines and have underscored the urgent need for Manila to strengthen its maritime security capabilities. The United States has consistently affirmed its commitment to the Mutual Defense Treaty with the Philippines and has repeatedly condemned China's assertive actions in the South China Sea. The U.S. Navy has conducted regular freedom of navigation operations, FONOPs, in the area to challenge China's excessive maritime claims and to demonstrate its commitment to upholding international law. The acceptance of the U.S. offers signals a clear determination by the Philippines to stand firm in the face of these challenges and to work closely with its treaty ally to safeguard its sovereign rights and territorial integrity. By enhancing its security cooperation with the United States, the Philippines aims to deter further aggression and to ensure its ability to protect its maritime interests. Beyond the immediate security concerns in the South China Sea, the Philippines also faces other challenges, including internal security threats and the need to modernize its armed forces. The enhanced military aid and training provided under the U.S. offer will contribute significantly to these efforts, helping the Philippines to build a more capable and professional military force. Furthermore, the strengthening of the alliance with the United States sends a strong signal to other nations in the region that the Philippines is not alone in its opposition to unilateral attempts to alter the status quo in the South China Sea. This could potentially encourage other claimant states to adopt a more assertive stance in defending their own sovereign rights. The Philippines' decision to accept the U.S. offer is a pragmatic response to a complex and evolving security environment. It reflects a strategic calculation that closer security ties with the United States are essential for safeguarding the Philippines' national interests and contributing to regional stability in the face of growing challenges. Charting the course ahead, implications and reactions. The Philippines' acceptance of the United States offer is a decision with far-reaching implications, not only for the bilateral relationship between Manila and Washington, but also for the broader geopolitical landscape of the Asia-Pacific region. The immediate and long-term consequences of this move are likely to be significant and will be closely watched by all stakeholders. One of the most immediate consequences will be an increased U.S. military presence and activity in the Philippines. This could involve more frequent joint military exercises, greater access for U.S. forces to Philippine military facilities, and potentially the deployment of more advanced U.S. military assets to the country on a rotational basis. This enhanced military cooperation is intended to serve as a deterrent against potential aggression and to enhance the Philippines' ability to defend its territory. The move is also likely to be viewed with considerable concern by China. Beijing has consistently opposed the strengthening of security alliances in the region, particularly those involving the United States, which it sees as an attempt to contain its growing influence. China is likely to respond to this development with strong diplomatic protests and could potentially take further actions in the South China Sea to assert its claims, raising the risk of increased tensions and potential confrontations. Other countries in the region, particularly those with their own territorial disputes with China in the South China Sea, are likely to view the Philippines' decision with a mixture of hope and caution. Some may see it as a positive step towards pushing back against China's assertiveness and upholding international law. Others may be concerned about the potential for increased regional instability and the risk of being drawn into a larger geopolitical competition. The acceptance of the U.S. offer could also have domestic implications within the Philippines. While there is broad public support for strengthening the alliance with the United States in response to China's actions, there may also be some concerns about the potential for increased foreign influence and the implications for the Philippines' long-term strategic autonomy. The government in Manila will need to carefully manage public opinion and ensure that the enhanced security cooperation with the U.S. is seen as being in the best interests of the Filipino people. Economically, the strengthening of the alliance could have both positive and negative consequences for the Philippines. On the one hand, increased security cooperation could lead to greater investor confidence and economic stability by reducing the perceived risk of conflict. On the other hand, heightened tensions with China, a major trading partner for the Philippines, could potentially disrupt economic ties and lead to trade disputes. Looking ahead, the Philippines' decision to accept the U.S. offer is likely to lead to a further deepening of the security relationship between the two countries. This could involve the development of joint military doctrines, the integration of their defense systems, and closer cooperation in areas such as cybersecurity and intelligence sharing. The long-term goal is to build a more resilient and capable Philippine military that can effectively deter threats and protect the country's interests in a complex and challenging regional environment. However, it is important to note that this decision does not come without risks. The potential for miscalculation or unintended escalation in the South China Sea remains a significant concern. It will be crucial for all parties involved to exercise restraint, to maintain open channels of communication, and to adhere to international law in order to prevent any escalation of tensions. The Philippines' acceptance of the United States offer marks a significant moment in the ongoing strategic competition in the Asia-Pacific. It underscores the growing concerns over China's assertiveness and the determination of some countries in the region to strengthen their alliances with the United States as a means of ensuring their security and safeguarding their sovereign rights. The coming months and years will be critical in determining the long-term impact of this decision on regional stability and the future of the South China Sea. The die has been cast. The Philippines has made its choice, accepting the outstretched hand of its longtime ally. It is merely the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with both promise and peril. The path ahead will require careful navigation, strategic foresight, and unwavering commitment from all involved. The world watches, waiting to see what happens next in this high-stakes geopolitical. The Philippines has chosen a path, one that could redefine its future, its freedom, and its fate. But every alliance comes with a cost. Will this decision bring the security its people have long sought? Or will it entangle the nation deeper into the rising tides of great power rivalry? Only time will unveil the true cost of America's offer. If you found value in this analysis, if you believe the world needs to understand what's truly at stake, then like, comment, and subscribe. For more truth, more clarity, and more analysis that shapes the future.